Welcome, everyone. My name is Judy Smith. I am a Homeshare Oregon area representative, and we're so glad that you've joined us here today. We have a rather short agenda. Those of us who've been here for a little bit, we've introduced ourselves, and we'd love to, do that again if you're open to that. I know we have a couple folks that wish to remain private, and we totally respect that. But I am going to be doing a presentation today on building a profile on when you're looking for a home share opportunity, and we're going to talk about both sides, both the home provider and the home seeker, and how we're going to do that. But I would like our wonderful communications director to introduce herself as well.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Judy. My name is Taida Horozovich. I'm so pleased to connect with everyone today. And I want to thank you for coming to our live, and for everybody watching the replay. We hope you enjoyed this resource about creating your profile for home sharing. And so I actually am pretty new with Homeshare Oregon. Visited Oregon last year and completely fell in love with the nature here, and made it a 1-year goal to move here. And here I am exactly 1 year later. So I'm really excited to continue learning about home sharing. I really see it as an opportunity for people to live the quality of life that they want, and also to get that community and to really get, whatever they may need. There are people out there who can help. So the home sharing community is here to support you, especially all of us with Homeshare Oregon. And I'm actually in a home sharing scenario myself. So home sharing with some family members that I've never lived with before. And it's been a very interesting and exciting experience, and also learning experience. So I'm really grateful for an opportunity to share some of these stories that can be funny and sometimes, not so funny as we navigate life. So I'm excited to speak with everybody today, and I'm excited for Judy's conversation as she tells us some of the important tips and just good tricks for creating profile online for home sharing. And I just want to share a couple of updates that we have from our organization. And one of them is that we have a new team member coming aboard in September, and she's going to be working on Multnomah County area to connect with our community here, which has been graciously done largely by our lovely Judy, who is our area representative for Lane County, and so much more. And then we are also in the process of revamping our website. So in the coming weeks, you can expect some new look and feel, and we will be, of course, informing you about those changes through our mailing list. And if you're not signed up to receive our newsletter already, I invite you to do that. You can do that on our website, on our current website. And we just recently released our summer newsletter that we'll be happy to share with you as well, if you're not already subscribed and have it in your inbox. The summer newsletter is another way to also talk about, how we can stay connected and exchange experiences. And so Judy is going to share that link. We chatted a little bit about great nonprofits, and we are inviting everybody who's been matched through Homeshare Oregon to leave us a review on this platform. And also, we have some exciting upcoming events that we'll share that will be attending to talk about home sharing as well. So yeah, I think I'll pause there. And again, thank you so much. Happy to be here.
Thanks, Ty. I appreciate that. I did put some links in the chat up to our social media. And Ty, I'm just going to mention this really quickly. I just had someone text me that they're in the waiting room, and I have a feeling they're in the waiting room for the old link. And I don't know that there's anything I can do at this point. But that said, let's move forward.
Oh, yes, I did forget. You did share the link, Judy, but I forgot to mention that we started a Facebook group where we invite everybody who just wants to connect on a day-to-day basis and look at some of the resources that we will be sharing there. So please do join us. You can go in the chat box and follow this link. For everybody watching on replay, we will be sure to include the link in the description of the video. And yeah, we just want to make it really easy for everybody to navigate the process and to be able to communicate any of their needs or any questions or issues that they might be having in real time.
Thank you. Thank you. And those links are there. I had them divided into 2 batches, and that second batch is there. So we would love to get some more members in our Facebook group. That would be really, really exciting. So I do have a little PowerPoint presentation, and I need to share my screen. Let's see if I can do this. Also, okay, let's give me just a little bit, and we will do slideshow from the beginning. Can you guys see that?
There's usually a little bit of a delay, so we'll just give it a second. We're not seeing it just yet.
Appreciate that. I had share screen. Oh, you know what, Taida, I just got a message that said you have disabled participant screen sharing.
Me?
No, it says host. That's you. So,
Oh, I see what you're saying. So I should be sharing your PowerPoint, which I have.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, hold on one second. And I'm
all right. That'll work too. Yeah, I really do appreciate technology when it does what I want, but I don't always know how to talk to it. And so it's usually operator error.
I'm always glad to see that even the young and the quick have to struggle with it now and then.
Well,
yes, technology spares no one.
True. It's very unforgiving. So I'm very curious. I know that we've got a couple folks here that one that is a home provider. We have another who was a home seeker, but she has already made her match, and that's very exciting. I'm just spinning right now, Ty, to keep it from being. That said, oh, here comes. Yay.
I'm not sure which version I pulled up, so let's.
They're both the same. It will not matter. Yay. Wonderful. So there's my name. This is what we're talking about. Next slide, please.
Yeah.
So, I started this thinking, what does make a house a home? There's a big, okay, we've got someone that's not on. So if you can mute folks, that'll help. Thank you. So what makes a house a home? And, we're talking about home sharing. I do know that, every home share relationship gets different parameters, but I think it's really important for a home provider to consider, kind of selling your home. in the same way that you might with if you were actually selling the whole home and not just the space. And so this is really, your opportunity to show potential renters what you have and to make it look good. And it's really crucial as a first impression. Sometimes I see home sharing profiles that have really, dark, obscure pictures, and it doesn't necessarily pull someone in. So the first thing, what we're going to talk about are just 5 easy things to consider when you are creating a home share listing. So the next slide, please. All right, home listing tip number 1. You got to take some time and write a basic summary. You can always expand on it, but there's certain things that you need to consider. Here's some examples. The size of the space that you have for rent. Is it 1 room? Is it 2 rooms? Is it half a house? Is it an ADU in the backyard? How big is it? Next thing to consider is to describe it. And there's a quick little example there. 1 bedroom and a private bath with covered parking. Sounds nice, doesn't it? And then what areas you're hoping to actually share. Is it the kitchen, the living room, your back patio, your backyard? You need someone to help you in the garden? These are all things that if you're considering sharing them, you'd mention them. And it's pretty basic. Next slide, please. Honestly, photos can make or break a listing. So it's important to take some great pictures. And I just want you to consider making sure there's a lot of light. That can be with lamps or overhead lights, or if you've got it, as much natural light as possible. And really, angles are everything. I want you to take a bunch of pictures and then pick the best ones. So don't be afraid to take multiple shots. Cover the whole space. In addition, don't just show the bedroom. Show the entryway, show the areas you're going to share, and you can consider sharing a photo of your home's exterior. Now, I'm not asking you to put the street numbers up because, there needs to be some consideration of privacy, but you could take a picture of your garden or your flower bed, or just to give a feel for it. So take a lot of pictures. And honestly, if you've got something special, something that's unique, you need to consider taking a picture of that. Maybe you have got a crazy staircase or a real cool kitchen, like some kind of feature. Show them off. Don't be afraid to do that. Next slide, please. Home listing tip number 3, highlight the positives. See all the happy balloons? We want this to be a happy thing. So I've got some examples here. Instead of saying 3-bedroom floor plan, my room is upstairs and the room I'm renting is downstairs, very private and quiet. Well, it's got the basics there, but let's make it shine. I'm offering one of 3 bedrooms located downstairs from my own for a maximum of privacy and quietness. See the difference? Make it positive, make it upbeat. Large bedroom, possibly furnished with a large storage area. Well, storage is really important. A lot of homes don't have a lot of excess storage. So that's certainly something you'd want to highlight. I love how this has been stated. These have been taken from actual profiles. You'll have plenty of room for storage in this large bedroom, and I'm open to discuss furnished options as well. Some folks bring a lot of stuff with them. Some of them are very grateful that you've got furniture for them to use. It's all a negotiation. This person remodeled their house. You can read what they had there, but I love the other way of just saying all parts of our home, besides the bedrooms, are available as common areas, including a recently renovated kitchen with brand new floors. Doesn't that sound like a nice place to live? I just thought these are really good examples. Next slide, please. Our last housing tip, I'm a bike rider. I get up every morning and ride my bike for 5 miles before I start work. But this picture cracked me up. Make it stand out. It's probably not a very big picture on your screen, but there's Big Bird out there riding his bike. Make it stand out. So homeowners, include some amenities. And here are some examples that were especially successful for folks. Reduced rent for help around the house. Bills or utilities included. So yeah, if you're going to include Wi-Fi or satellite TV or something like that, be sure and include those as amenities. If there's a private entrance, that's a nice thing to have. If there's covered parking, or even if there's on-street parking, make it stand out, share those details. And this one was really specific. They have an accessible entryway. There's no stairs or steps. For some folks, that would be a wonderful advantage to have for a home share. Next slide, please. So those are that's the end of the tips that I have for building your home provider profile. But both sides of this equation need to share a personal profile. And, it really is an important way to introduce yourself to your potential housemates. So it's important to be thorough and descriptive. I like to tell people to be honest and direct and to be yourself. If you're faking it in your profile, you're not going to get a good match. You really do need to be honest. And a photo is very, very helpful. Now, these days, there are a lot of people that are cautious about putting pictures of themselves online. And I saw a really interesting solution to that. I had one woman up in Portland. The picture she posted was herself in her face mask. And you could see her beautiful eyes and her hair, but her face was covered. And it was just actually a very appropriate thing for the pandemic. But it was a way of, sharing a personal photo because Silvernest will just put in something, like a blank silhouette. So to have something in there is better than nothing. It is a lot more welcoming. Next slide, please. Things to include in your personal profile. Again, I put another picture of someone making a list. When you're hoping to move in or when you're hoping to have someone move in, a date is nice. People know what you're looking for. If you have a particular sleep or work schedule, for years and years, my husband worked a 12-hour night shift. Trust me, that impacted our life. So if you have an unusual work or sleep schedule, you should share that. Or even if it's, pretty mundane, it's nice to know. If you have a budget for what you're looking for, what are your thoughts on guests and partying and having folks over? These are things that need to match. What do you do in your free time? I had one gentleman join. He likes to go look for treasures with a metal detector. I thought that was unusual and a way to open, himself up a little bit about his hobbies. Here's an important one. What are your cleanliness standards? Honestly, they're different for everyone, and that is an important conversation to have. Do you drink? Do you smoke? Are you okay with people that do that? Those are questions on Silvernest. They're kind of tick the box, but you need to think about that. I love this one. How do your close friends describe you? If you're not sure, ask a close friend. They'll tell you. And then again, what are you looking for in that ideal roommate? These are things to include in your profile. I always tell folks when I'm coaching them along, if it's important to you, that belongs in your profile. If you're allergic to fragrances, we do not want you to match with someone who's into aromatherapy. So if it's important, make sure it's in there. Next slide, please. That's really kind of my conclusion, but what I'd like to do right now is to just open it up and hear what other people's thoughts are. We've got Lois here who has matched with her housemate. I'm curious to know if you've got any thoughts about what worked for you or maybe what you would have done differently. So I'm going to put you on the spot, Lois. I hope that's okay.
Okay, I'll start by unmuting. How's that? Yes, I have found my match for the time being, and it looks like it's going to be very good. I've only been here 2 weeks, but we started, so I did do a profile on Silvernest, just like you suggested, and I found that through Homeshare Oregon, which has helped me all the way through this process. I give you guys all the credit. So On my personal profile, I did what a lot of what you suggested. I didn't narrow it to anything that I wouldn't be willing to negotiate about. So I didn't even mention things like, I didn't mention anything that might kick me off because it could be misunderstood. But I did put things about my background, what kind of education I have, or what kind of things I found interesting in my most recent past. And I also put my hobby, because it's pretty much a big part of my life at this point, and I needed room for it. And I have a dog, so I mentioned that, and that was also, so what I put in my profile were the things that were really important to me to be able to have in the place where I was living. And I did not put anything that were not deal breakers, actually. I don't know if there's more that you want me to say about that.
No, I think that was very complete and very insightful. I hadn't considered about being cautious about deal breakers. I've seen such a variety of profiles that people have created. Some are very, very detailed, and then it's very possible that extends the amount of time it takes to find someone. It's just possible that that's the case.
I'm sorry.
No, please. What were you going to say?
I did something that made it so I can't see my own self. So I don't know what happened, but anyway, so for some reason that makes me feel like I'm talking. Well, I can't see you either, Judy. So that's
well.
I know what I did. I found it. Okay, never mind.
I can see you all just fine. You look great.
There.
But of course that just distracted me and I totally forgot what we were talking about.
Deal breakers.
Yeah, I do. Oh, what I was going to say is that I thought I knew, I was moving from out of state. I thought I knew what rent should be. And I found out that I did not, but I didn't find out until after that became a deal breaker for several people. And I found out they didn't even consider my profile because I had put what I wanted to pay for rent, not what was realistic for the area. And so when I changed that, I decided that if I needed to negotiate rent, I could negotiate rent, but that I should widen both of the location area, which was Judy's suggestion, and the amount area to give me more opportunities for choice. And as that turned out, things just work out because the rent where I am now was higher, but we added a third roommate and now it's down to what I wanted to pay.
Wow, what a great solution. The dynamics of having more than one roommate can be, well, I guess I already said it can be very dynamic. We'll be curious to see how, at some point we're probably going to have a whole theme about how to be a great housemate, and the tips and tricks of making that work. I think the biggest important thing for that is communication.
I'm already making notes, so I'll be sure to attend that particular Zoom.
Excellent, Lois. I appreciate that.
But I want to just comment on having 3 roommates instead of 2. And that is that I was not looking for a life partner. I was looking for a housemate. And having 3 feels to me like that will be more of a housemate sort of situation. That with 2 people, it can become too close for what I was looking for.
I appreciate that perspective. Thank you, Lois. Well said. It's so good that you can negotiate, what you want. And you do have to decide what is the deal breaker and what isn't. I mean, if you're going to be nuts because someone left dishes in the sink and you look at a home share and there's dishes in the sink and you think I can live with that and then you don't, it's okay to take your time and find the right fit. We've got a few other people in in this meeting. So I'm going to open it up. Is there anyone who'd like to give their thoughts on building a profile, either as a home provider or a home seeker, or if you have questions about this particular thing? That's kind of our focus for the night. Does anyone have any input? If you do, you can wave at us so we know that you want to talk, or there is that lovely little button down below that says reactions where you can raise your hand, and we'll happily let you turn on your microphone and add to the conversation. We can probably lose the picture now, Peter. I don't know if that's the Oregon coast, but I like to think it was. I love going over there. So is there someone who has some perspective or some input on this idea of what to put in a profile? I see you, Aviva. You want to go ahead and turn off your mic and share what you have to share?
Okay. I've been a roommate in the past when I was going to college. So I never had the opportunity to go through. Are you able to hear me?
Oh, yes.
Okay. I never had the opportunity to go through an actual screening like this. And I really understand everything that's being discussed here, because like I say, I've been a roommate in different situations. And so I kind of know the pros and cons about what can happen. But because I'm going to end up trying to find a roommate, and I'm in a home that isn't owned by me, but I'm definitely in a secure situation with it. I feel okay about interviewing people and trying to go with the honesty. I think one of the main things that is concerning to me, since I'm older and I live alone, is I want to be able to really find somebody that's trustworthy. And you know, I think you don't really know everything until you try it out. So the last meeting we had, I really liked the comment that the speaker gave to take your time and do a trial run, like 3 months. If it's working great, then, you know, try to extend it for another 3 months and maybe do longer contracts. That seemed interesting to me. If I was in that person's shoes, I probably would like it too, because they don't know me. Another person I know down the street was sharing with me about just a home share thing that she's done before. And she had a lot of great ideas on getting together with the person in a friendly way and discussing what you both like about certain things in life, what you would like to share together, rather than just grilling each other on, you know, the basics, trying to get a little bit farther into the personality of what you're dealing with. So that's what I'm hoping to do, but I'm not sure when I'll be able to set all this up, but I'm hoping it's pretty soon. So anyway, I appreciate the meetings.
And I'm so glad you came again. You know, when I'm talking to folks that are, you know, getting started just like you are, and you've been taking your time, and you're doing it just in the right way, making sure, you know, that you've got your ducks in a row, as they say,
Yeah.
to move forward with this. And you're absolutely right. Taking your time is really important. And when I talk to home providers like yourself, I always encourage them to have that face-to-face conversation. Of course, you know, if you were moving from Montana like Lois did, I think they did a lot on virtually. But I encourage people to go to a neutral location, like a coffee shop. And again, you have some valid concerns. You're a single woman living alone, and you probably shouldn't have anyone into your home until you have a really good feel for them. And so you can do that face-to-face meeting more than once. All right. And if you're nervous the first time, take a friend with you and get their input on who that, you know, on this individual, because you can tell a lot by sitting down and talking with a person. And I think that if you can do it face to face, that's the best way. But there, virtual can work for the situation. And I love your idea of doing it on a trial basis. Now, that can be a big ask because but if there is a way that a person can maybe maintain their current space or have options in case it doesn't work out. These are all things that can be negotiated, but having a trial basis is a really good idea. It does take a while to kind of find your rhythm with another person, and putting things in place ahead of time. For example, you could talk to a potential housemate and say, okay, what is going to happen when we fight? Because you will have disagreements. And what are the rules for fighting? Or maybe you don't want to call it fighting, but anyway, what are the rules that you're going to have in place? All right, we're going to, honestly, when I'm in a disagreement with my husband, my current housemate, has been for 37 years, if I want to have a good conversation with him, I don't do it at home because he gets distracted and wanders off to fix something. I'll take him out. And I try and find a place where there's no TV because he'll, but if you go, let's go out for a cup of coffee once a month and see how's it going. Mm-hmm. When my daughter was home sharing with us with her family, we had family meetings. That sounds terrible, but it was like, okay, everyone has to be at this dinner and we're just going to check in and say, how's it going? Is there something I'm doing that I could do better or stop doing to make your life better? And we just kept those lines of communication open.
Oh, I love that. I just wanted to add, Judy, thank you so much. That's such a thoughtful way to think about, it's like you're imagining what life is going to be with somebody when you don't even know them and you think you know yourself, and then you're in situations where things can make you react differently. So it's really interesting and I think really important to have this type of conversation. And I just wanted to reflect on what you were saying about what Aviva was saying and you, Judy, about actually arranging to meet up with somebody because everything happens securely online. With the matchmaking process, the secure portal allows for you to look at the people that you have been matched with, and it allows for you to communicate with them. So just corresponding through the secure online portal before you begin thinking about meeting with them in real life or virtually. So there are definitely always steps that are protecting you, and there is transparency around yes, you are communicating, and this is important also to know. And as Judy suggested, potentially bringing a friend or just doing all of these kind of things that help you feel secure in the process of meeting this potential new roommate, as exciting as it is. Just want to be mindful of checking off any concerns off our list. So I just wanted to remind everybody that the platform does allow actually for this totally safe online, secure one-on-one communication between potential roommates as everybody's in the process of, just feeling into it and seeing if it's the right match, or, asking some tough questions and sharing vulnerable things and all of that. It's a big deal. Yeah. Thank you so much for that reflection, Aviva. Really appreciate that. And you, Judy, thank you.
Does anyone else have something they want to add or ask? It doesn't have to be on profile. If you have questions just about home sharing in general, we'll do our best to answer them. But, this is a group discussion at this point. If you've got a question, I would love to hear it. And be sure to, introduce yourself when you turn your mic on. I assume that everyone knows each other, and you know what, you don't. So I apologize for that. Yeah, Karen.
Sorry for the late arrival. I was conducting an interview and it ran way over. So not knowing what you have already covered, but just to pose the question, if you pass that 3-month mark, or say you've chosen 3 months, and you say, I kind of think it's not going to work. So then do you give that person 30 days, in the middle of winter, you know what I mean? So what do you envision that kind of situation to transpire?
That's a scary situation to envision, Karen. And I think that's a valid question.
Yeah, and if I could add, when I first arrived in Oregon from the East Coast, I had arranged to house share with someone who it seemed like it was the dream situation. We had so many interests in common, but I discovered not too far into it that this woman was an extreme warrior and had unbelievable standards and found fault in everything. There was not a day that went by that she did not criticize something. And I tried really hard to follow all her protocols. And then she finally said, it's not going to work because I can't feel like I'm in my own home. I can't feel like I'm myself in my own home. It was really interesting. She gave me 30 days and it was really hard to find another place in 30 days, but I managed it. It was unbelievable. Yeah, it took quite the work. Now I'm also toying with the idea of actually purchasing a home and and possibly being someone who brings in a housemate. So I'm asking it from both sides, how do you envision that kind of thing working?
Such a great question, Judy. Thank you.
That's a tough one. How do I envision it working? I would hope that there could be some flexibility in today's housing market. I mean, 30 days is what you're legally required to give someone if you're going to ask them to move out. But and I can tell you, I was talking to an acquaintance who home shared for 8 years with a woman who was critical, and it was not easy, but she made it work because she had a goal of saving enough money to get her own place, and she was able to do that. But I would not wish that on anyone. One of the handouts that I make available when I'm out tabling at events, it has a questionnaire for both a home provider and a home seeker. Is home sharing a good idea for this person, right? And that might be a good resource to share with you, Karen, since you're looking at it from both sides. Yeah. But there are some folks, I call them the king or the queen of the castle. And it is their house and it is their rules. And that does not make a home. All right. Right. And for people that end up in that situation, you're never going to be able to relax. It's never going to feel like you're home. So it's important to have an in-depth conversation. I mean, prevention is worth a pound of cure. You did everything you could think of. I'm guessing that you've got some really good things that you're going to ask the next person that you consider for this. And I think what you've been through, you could probably tell us the sorts of things to ask. But I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and I finished it up today. And this woman who has been home sharing for a long time and actually wrote a book on how to find the perfect housemate. She had 4 rules. And I'm going to share them with you. And we are at 5:50, so I'm just watching the clock. Somebody let me know when we have 5 minutes left, because I never want to go over. But here's her number 1 rule was the golden rule. And for those of you who aren't familiar with that, it is treating another person the way you want to be treated. If you do not have the ability to be nice to another person and treat them the way you want to be treated, you're probably not a good housemate. And, this is assuming that you've already talked about the important things like your budget and cleanliness and neatness and what the routine is going to be and who's going to pay for what bill, or are you dividing them? What do you feel about noise? What about household tasks? How are you going to use the kitchen? Those are things that are important. But this other piece of, how do you treat people? If you can't follow that golden rule, you're probably not a good candidate to be a housemate. She also had this other thing. She says, do it when it's easy. In other words, when you first have that little, I didn't like that, that's when you speak up. Not that you're nagging or, criticizing. I am so sorry that you went through that, Karen. I would have wanted to leave in 30 days or less. But, to do it when it's easy, speak up when the small thing bothers you and don't let it fester. All right. And that gets back to communication, regular communication. Her third rule was your room is your own. This is really important. There are common areas, but no one should go into your personal room unless you have invited them. And this woman set it up with a housemate where if my door is cracked open, yeah, you can knock on it and come in. But if my door is closed, this is my space. And that needs to be understood even when you are not home. If you're the home provider, that space that you've given them is their space. You should not be storing things in their closets. You should, maybe you're providing the furniture and you've worked that out with them, but that is their space. And and your space is your space. The shared space is shared, but you need to treat that as sacred. And then her, this one's kind of a funny one, but she calls it the incest taboo. And she says, it's like a family member. You don't sleep with your housemate. She says that's a very important rule as well. So that said, those were her 4 rules. I thought it was a very informative podcast. She's been doing it for years. I've learned from listening to her that I actually was doing a lot more of home sharing when I was young and in college and right afterwards. We just didn't know what to call it. We called it having a roommate. But you do need to have some rules in place. And I see your hand, Lois. Go ahead.
I'd like to know the name of the podcast, please.
Well, I have her name. You know what I could do, Lois? I shared that podcast with Taida. Tai, would you mind? I don't have it open.
Yeah, I'm happy to find it, and we will also include it in the follow-up email, so you'll have it before we run out of time here today. I did want to speak into this really important aspect of home sharing that Karen is addressing, because from the perspective of both the homeowner and the home seeker, this is an essential binding piece of the relationship that can really set you up for success. And this is all part of the agreement. So as we talk about home sharing, there is this process of applying, creating your profile, then you get matched with certain potential roommates, and then you see if you feel like talking to them and connecting with them further, and being invested in developing that relationship with your potential roommate. And then comes the time when you're looking at the agreement, which is going to articulate specifically the format of your relationship, and it's going to articulate some boundaries and some rules that are very important for your own peace of mind. So even though this agreement comes at a certain phase of our communication with a potential roommate, thinking about the agreement all along is really a great way to not forget, jotting down that really important aspect that could be, a deal breaker or an allergy or something, that's really important to you, that you are absolutely certain it needs to be included in the agreement. So creating your agreement with that roommate is one very concrete place where you are both committing to this relationship that is outlined and has its format and specific details articulated there. And just thinking about the agreement, you know, what do I want this to look like? Do I want to do month to month? Do I want to do a 3-month trial thing? Both as a homeowner and as a home seeker, it is definitely where you get to say what it is that you prefer, what is really important to you, what's a, you know, just non-negotiable kind of parameter that is also your legal framework for both prevention and then dealing with an unfortunate situation should one arise. And I too am really sorry that this happened to you, Karen. And, you know, it's just really inspiring that you're able to share with us so gracefully this experience and what you know, gleaned some beautiful insight from it, but also you're asking all the right questions, and we're all grateful because, you know, it's good for everybody to think about, you know, just positioning ourselves and opening ourselves up to sharing our living space with another person. It's a pretty big leap. So yeah, an agreement is where you would articulate a lot of these parameters that are absolutely essential for you to be able to home share with somebody.
If I could add, you know, when I previously did own a home on the East Coast, I had many housemates, probably a half a dozen. Some stayed as long as 2 years. And, you know, I think there was only one house, there was only one of the many that was really bad. Most of them were really quite successful and marvelous, actually. So, you know.
Yay, so glad to know that, you know, you weren't deterred or discouraged by this one unfortunate experience. But even in a situation like that, it's probably better for your health to get out of there. Your overall health, you know, it's just like toxic. Okay, maybe not the best idea.
Thank you.
Well, you know, I again want to thank everyone for coming. If Ty, if you can if you have access to that podcast, that'd be great. And I probably shouldn't have mentioned it without having the link available, but oh well. I do appreciate everyone's perspective and interaction. We will be having another one of these next month. I forgot to look and see what our topic is.
Yeah, we'll announce the topic very soon. I'm sharing the link right now. And so yeah, stay tuned. We'll have a follow-up email also. And I'm just jumping in again to invite everybody to subscribe to our newsletter if you haven't done so already. Judy shared our summer newsletter link here in the chat box, and we would love to have you over in our community Facebook group where we will continue this kind of conversation, and we might, you know, consider doing like a live Facebook video in addition to doing this Zoom one, and just stream it for everybody to be in Facebook group as well. But it's just an opportunity for everybody to join online and ask questions and express, you know, share experiences, express any concerns they might have, and use the resources that we will be sharing there. I see Aviva has a question.
Yeah, I was just wanting to see how I can get the newsletter, and also when the time comes, maybe I can get more information on setting up my roommate situation with Silver Nest. But for starters, I'd like to get the newsletter. So how do I do that?
We put a link in the chat where you can read the current one. Do you know how to open your chat?
I just did. All I see is the Facebook and the podcast.
Okay, if you scroll, you can scroll back in chat and go up to where it is.
I'm sorry, I didn't see that. Okay.
That's all right.
Okay.
We all get to learn these things. It's not, I'm happy to help you find it.
Now, can I just copy that and paste somewhere?
You could do that. There is a way to also save the chat, but you have to remember to ask that your computer
Well,
where it's going to hide
We
it.
are going to send a follow-up email, and the follow-up email is going to have all of the links from our conversation today.
great.
So we'll be sure to
Good.
send you that. And then as you're reading the newsletter, you can subscribe to it for the
Sure.
upcoming one. So this is
Okay.
the summer newsletter. We do occasional distribution of information that we know will be valuable to our community. We're not going to inundate you with a lot of emails. So this is the summer newsletter. We're going to have maybe a few upcoming events that we will want to share with you. And then we'll have a fall newsletter. And for everything in between, it will be announced in the Facebook community group. So please come on over and join us there as well.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Well, everyone, thank you so much for coming. It's nice to see you. I love having familiar faces. I like new people too. So if you want to invite people to join us at the next to be announced topic, it will always, we'll always take time to have conversation and answer questions as they come up. But thank you so much for being here this evening. Bye now.
Thanks, everyone. You can unmute yourself and say hi, bye. Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye all. Thank you.
Bye.